from racist comments and cheating scandals to arrests, insider trading, and even a full-blown civil war within the sport. Golf's history is filled with controversies that have shaken its image and, in some cases, changed it forever. One of the most surreal moments came with Scottie Scheffler at the 2024 PGA Championship at Valhalla, when the world's #1 golfer was suddenly handcuffed, taken to jail, and then somehow returned to play later that same day. What should have been another routine major appearance turned into a viral spectacle within minutes, as images of his mugshot and arrest spread across the world, making it feel less like a golf tournament and more like a breaking crime story. The situation unfolded amid chaotic traffic conditions, following a fatal accident near the course, where police were redirecting vehicles, and Scheffler's attempt to navigate through the scene escalated quickly into a misunderstanding that spiraled out of control. While the charges were later dropped and authorities admitted the evidence didn't support further action, the damage as a moment of controversy had already been done. It was bizarre, unprecedented, and for a brief period, completely overshadowed one of golf's biggest events. And long before modern controversies took over headlines, figures like John Daly were already building reputations for chaos, with incidents that blurred the line between entertainment and disorder, such as his infamous clash with Jeff Roth at the 1994 NEC World Series of Golf, where a shot into the group ahead sparked confrontation and added another chapter to Daly's growing legend as one of the sport's most unpredictable personalities. But the actual scuffle wasn't even with Jeff, it was with his 62-year-old father, Bob Roth, and that's what made the whole thing feel almost unreal. Reports described how John Daly ended up in a brief physical altercation, even wrestling on the ground before being separated, turning what should have been a routine PGA Tour moment into something that looked more like a bar parking lot fight than a professional sporting event. It sounded ridiculous because it was, but at the same time, it perfectly fit Daly's growing reputation. Immensely talented yet completely unpredictable, always teetering on the edge of chaos. That incident didn't rank among the biggest scandals in golf history, but it reinforced a perception that Daly wasn't just rebellious, he was volatile, and that volatility would follow him throughout his career. Then came a very different kind of controversy, one that had nothing to do with swings or scorecards, but instead questioned the sport's values and priorities. In 2014, Golf Digest faced heavy backlash after featuring Paulina Gretzky on its cover. Not a major champion or an LPGA star, but a celebrity figure known largely for her public profile and her relationship with Dustin Johnson. The criticism came quickly and loudly because the magazine hadn't featured a female professional golfer on its cover in 6 years, and when it finally did, it chose celebrity appeal over athletic achievement. For many within the golf world, especially voices connected to the LPGA, it felt like a clear message that even the best women in the sport were still being overshadowed by marketability and image rather than recognized for their skill and accomplishments. What started as a cover choice quickly turned into a broader debate about respect, representation, and how women in golf are valued, pushing the conversation far beyond a single publication. And then there was Phil Mickelson, a player long associated with risk-taking both on and off the course, whose name became tied to an insider trading controversy that shook his reputation. In 2016, Mickelson was linked to a case involving Dean Food stock, where authorities said he profited nearly $1 million based on information that came through indirect sources. While he was never criminally charged and the SEC did not accuse him of fraud, he ultimately agreed to return over $1 million in profits and interest. Even without formal charges, the situation left a lasting mark because golf is a sport deeply rooted in integrity and trust, and this controversy introduced a narrative involving confidential information, financial gain, and connections that didn't sit comfortably with fans. It wasn't just about legality, it was about perception. And once that perception shifted, it became another example of how quickly reputations in golf can be tested, reshaped, and remembered. That thrill-seeker image around Phil Mickelson quickly shifted from exciting to reckless, showing how fast perception can change in golf. Meanwhile, John Daly embodied chaos in its rawest form, with years of gambling losses, public outbursts, and personal struggles leading to a 6-month PGA Tour suspension in 2008. His lifestyle, once seen as rebellious, became a cautionary tale as the sport finally stepped in. Then came Dustin Johnson, whose controversy lingered not just because of alleged failed drug tests, but because of the PGA Tour's lack of transparency, leaving fans questioning what really happened behind the scenes. And with Patrick Reed, the issue was trust, highlighted by his 2019 bunker penalty, a moment that reinforced a reputation where every ruling involving him sparks debate rather than acceptance. The footage went viral, fans were furious, and Patrick Reed saw his reputation take yet another hit. But what made it worse wasn't just that single bunker incident. It was the pattern that followed him. Earlier controversies, like the embedded ball situation at Torrey Pines and later debates over rulings in Dubai, kept reinforcing the same perception. In golf, where integrity is everything, reputation follows every shot, and once fans start believing a player bends the rules, it sticks. If it keeps happening, it stops being an incident and becomes an identity. Then came one of the darkest moments in golf history, involving Fuzzy Zoeller and Tiger Woods. After Tiger's historic 1997 Masters win, Zoeller made a remark suggesting Tiger shouldn't serve fried chicken or collard greens at the champion's dinner, a comment widely condemned as racist. Although Zoeller apologized, the damage was permanent. It cost him sponsorships and forever stained his legacy, exposing deeper racial tensions within a sport that Tiger was actively transforming. And then came a controversy that didn't just affect individuals, but split the entire sport: the rise of LIV Golf versus the PGA Tour. What started as a rival league quickly escalated into a full-blown civil war, with players defecting, suspensions being handed out, and fans dividing into opposing camps. The debate went far beyond golf, touching on money, loyalty, and even global politics, reshaping relationships, tournaments, and the structure of the sport itself in a way almost nothing else ever has. And just when it seemed like nothing could overshadow that level of controversy, golf had already lived through one of its most shocking personal scandals, the fall of Tiger Woods. This remains the biggest controversy in golf history because it didn't just shake the sport, it exploded far beyond it. In 2009, Tiger Woods crashed his SUV outside his home, and what initially seemed like a simple accident quickly unraveled into something far more damaging, as reports of multiple affairs surfaced, triggering a relentless tabloid frenzy and exposing the collapse of one of the most carefully built images in sports. Woods later issued a public apology, but the fallout was immediate and severe, with major sponsors like Accenture and AT&T walking away, signaling just how deeply his brand had been affected. Then in 2017, the story took another hit when he was arrested after being found asleep in his car while impaired, later pleading guilty to reckless driving, adding another layer to an already complicated legacy. What made this scandal so massive wasn't just the personal details. It was the scale of impact, because Tiger wasn't just golf's biggest name. He was one of the most influential athletes in the world, and when his image shattered, it sent shockwaves through sponsors, media, and the entire culture surrounding celebrity athletes, with reports estimating billions in lost brand value. Even after everything else golf has endured, from cheating accusations to league divisions, this moment still stands alone as the most defining and far-reaching controversy the sport has ever seen. A reminder of how quickly dominance can turn into downfall when the spotlight becomes too intense to control.